Why are we surprised? Hey guys, it's me again, Douglas, and today I want to talk to you guys about this idea that as Christians, we should know better than to do what is wrong, right? We have Christ as our leader showing us the way, and we should really not be surprised when the world doesn't know better. So often I'll hear Christians getting really, really mad when the world does stuff that doesn't make sense. But what do we expect? There's this passage in 1 Corinthians chapter 2 that says the natural or the worldly, fleshly person does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are folly to him, and he is not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned. Right? I believe that deep down inside, we all have a basic understanding that there is a God. And I think we all have a basic understanding of what right and wrong is. But without Jesus, we are lost. It's like we're walking around in the dark. Every single one of us was like this before Christ came into our lives. And yet we get so surprised when the world acts in a worldly way. We're like, don't you get it? Don't you understand that living for yourself is just ruining things for you? And the truth is they don't. We end up hating people for making the wrong choices, and they make the wrong choices because they don't have Christ in their lives. And the truth is that if you call yourself a Christian but you hate sinners, you seriously need to reevaluate what it means to be a Christian. Because Christ does not hate them. Christ loves them. When Jonah was told to go warn Nineveh that God was going to destroy them if they did not repent, Jonah was mad. He didn't want them to repent. He wanted them to be destroyed for their sins, their bad choices. When Jonah wanted them destroyed, God said, "Shouldn't I pity Nineveh? That city has 120,000 people who don't know their right from their left." Now, I'm not saying that what Nineveh did was good. Nineveh did many terrible, awful things. But the proper response to Nineveh was to take them the good news that God wanted them to hear. Right? The right way to approach Nineveh was with pity, not hatred. Not a hope of judgment, but a hope of reconciliation. We should absolutely expect the world to do what is wrong, because they don't know any better. The only reason we know better is by the grace of God. And that grace is extended not only to us, but to them as well. At my church, our worship leader, he likes to write his own songs sometimes. And I like them, they're really good. But one of the things that's a little tricky is since he wrote them, when we hear them for the first time at church, that's the first time we've heard them at all. Sometimes if you sing a new song at church, maybe you heard it on the radio. Or maybe there's an old hymn that you haven't sung at your church before. Maybe it's the first time you sung it at your church, but you've sung it at other churches. And so when they start playing this song that's new to your church, you can sing along because you're familiar with the song. But no, when Randy writes a new song and we sing it in church, that's the first time that all of us have heard it, except for our worship leader, Randy. And it's I kind of understand why people kind of get in the habit of being no, we don't want to sing any new songs. We just want to sing the old classic songs that we've sung at this church for forever. Because it's kind of embarrassing to sing a new song because you don't really know how it goes. So, the worship leader might be singing it up front, but if you're singing in the congregation, it's praise praise you. Unless you're some sort of musical prodigy, the first time you sing a song, it's going to sound terrible. If they handed me a microphone the first time I sung a song in church, it'd be so embarrassing. And anytime our worship leader, he introduces a new song to us, he makes sure to go through it with us as a congregation very slowly. For several weeks, he will, talk us through how, what the words are coming and how we sing it, and we take it kind of slow, and he's very patient with us. Could you imagine if he was okay, I've got this new song, and I've been working on it for months, let's all sing it together. And he starts playing it, and he starts singing it, and then being hey, how come you guys are singing this so bad? Right? Like, we can't help it. We don't know this song. Eventually we'll learn the song, but it takes some time and it takes some patience. And it's like, we understand that with songs, but why don't we understand that with just regular Christian behavior? Like, why do we expect the world to act like Christians when they don't know Christ? It's hard enough for us to. They don't know any better. We know better, and yet we have a hard enough time following Christ when we have access to him. And that passage in 1 Corinthians chapter 2 talks about that. Like, how can we expect the world to know better? How can we expect the world to know how to act, to know how to live, to know how to do what is right if they aren't connected to Christ in any way? And here's the thing about right and wrong. What is right and wrong is logical, right? It makes logical sense. But you can also use logic to, excuse all kinds of crazy stuff. What is really right and what is really wrong is not something that we arrive at just, with our brains. It's not by human wisdom that we understand what is good and what is wrong. It's through Jesus Christ. Real truth is spiritually discerned. You can use logic to, make excuses for just about anything. Even the, craziest, most insane worldviews have some kind of logic to them, even if they are totally wrong. The only reason we know better is because Christ showed us a better way. So my challenge to you guys today is that next time you see somebody in the world doing something ridiculous, take a breath, show some patience and some kindness, and do your best to share Christ with those who need him, which is everyone. And the other part of my challenge is that you would be careful to walk with God, to live and love his way. Because if you're a Christian, you know better. To the one who has been given much, much will be required. Let's do our very best to connect people with Jesus Christ. Because it is only through the Spirit of God that we can discern and understand what is right and wrong. Like you kind of know, but you really don't know unless you are connected with Jesus Christ. God's way is right. It is perfect. But it's hard to see that without God. The world does not know their right hand from their left. We should not expect them to live righteously without Christ in their lives. Without Christ, they don't know any better. How could they? How are they going to know if they don't hear? And that's why it's so important for us to share. Instead of getting surprised or mad at the world for being the world, let's share the good news of Jesus Christ with those who need to hear it. Hey guys, I hope you liked this video. And yeah, it seems like every day I'm seeing something in the news where somebody is doing something that just doesn't make sense. And that makes sense, right? Why would we expect the world to do what is right if we believe that God shows us what is right? If we want the world to act like Christians, let's share Christ with them. God's way is right. It makes sense. And he helps us to know better. It's still up to us to choose to do what is right, but he shows us the way. The world doesn't have that. How can they know better without someone telling them? And it's not just about telling them, right? It's so much more than just, hey, act right. Let's introduce them to the life giver, the one who can show the way. We should not expect the world to know better. Let's share with them the good news of Jesus Christ so that they can.